sitting today with Sridhar Kanthadai, who is the head of trade and transaction services for Citibank in Asia. New to the role, and Sridhar comes with quite a lot of regional experience. Thank you, Sridhar, for speaking to us today. So tell me a little bit about the role that you've sort of stepped into, what kind of things you've been doing with the role, and sort of what you'd like to roll out.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me here. As you know, I've taken this role about 10 months ago. I have been in the regional business for Citi in the transaction service business for many years. I've run many of the business lines, and I was the COO for the GTS business until end of last year. So this is a great opportunity. I guess we combined our trade business and our cash management business a couple of years ago, and I think this is the evolution of the business. So I lead that business practice across Asia, working with my partners across the different regions, and it's one of our core and most successful businesses in the region.
In terms of the banks are telling you, what are some of the things that you're rolling out for them, and where do you see their priorities shifting in terms of what they need? So obviously we've been through a financial crisis, and it's not going to be the same.
True, Peter. I think if I can distill it down, there are really three elements that banks are concerned about. One is managing risks. Clearly the environment is yet to stabilize. I think we see growth in emerging markets, but growth is not necessarily absolute. And I think growth, since trade essentially is with different counterparties, risk continues to be of concern to organizations, including banks. So risk management and risk mitigation is a key ask, a key trend, and we're working with banks on this. The second piece really is about financial efficiency. Even banks actually need a lot of efficiency in using their existing liquidity to manage their operations. So clearly they've raised capital, from a Basel standpoint, from regulatory capital, risk capital. But I think internal source of liquidity and harnessing that is a key requirement for banks. The third thing really is about increasing their operating efficiency, reducing costs, and being able to support their top line and their clients by investing in products. So I think those are the three key requirements banks have. Clearly across the board, financial institutions are being impacted by changes in regulations, whether it's domestic or is it cross-border regulations. I think in the context of that, banks are in fact looking for partnership arrangements with other institutions to see how they can continue to invest in their business to support their clients.
You talk about regulations, I guess regional and global. Which ones are you seeing as being most impactful in terms of what the banks want you to help them with?
Clearly, in terms of what they want to help with is really about how they can best access and utilize their capital. So really we're helping banks in raising capital on the capital market side. We're helping banks deploy their capital appropriately and get returns on their capital. So essentially things like asset distribution, participating in risks, etc., is a key trend that we're seeing. I think going forward, as Basel III and the elements of it are finalized, you'd see that access to deposits is going to be a challenge, access to low-cost deposits. I think we in Citi, certainly in Asia, have significant access to low-cost deposits, core deposits, both in the consumer and the institutional space. That's really been helpful for us, but that's an evolving trend. And so regulatory arbitrage or regulatory changes or differences between countries are evolving, and hopefully as Basel III brings that together, you will have standards that are consistent across different nations. So I think we're seeing access to capital and access to deploying that capital in an effective way are two key challenges that clients talk to us about.
You mentioned Basel III. What we're starting to see and understand, I guess, is that it's going to have a major impact, especially on trade finance business. Where do you see this as being the most, having the biggest impact in your business?
Honestly, I think the rules are evolving. I don't think it's very clear yet as to all the impact you will have. But I think on the top line, you can clearly see that that is necessarily going to impact the way we extend credit, and therefore I think as an industry we need to have better ability to manage that exposure and to be able to assist our clients. I think it's too early at this point in time. I think the headline news is yes, it's going to impact, but we don't have clarity around all the necessarily the ingredients that will change. But clearly clients will continue to need capital, and I think it's the opportunity for banks to continue to provide them in a cost efficient and a risk efficient way. My personal sense is that the cost is going to go up to some extent, and I think the structures are going to evolve to support the clarity in terms of what the risks are being carried by the different counterparties.
Well, cost, I guess, is going up, but the way to balance that, of course, is with efficiency. I think Citibank's been through the One City movement, to break down the silos. Ajay Banga introduced it in Asia. How is it sort of taking hold in your business? What are you kind of doing to break down your silos and to really get yourself working more efficiently?
That's a question. We talked about costs going up in terms of access to capital and supporting clients, but I think players who are going to be looking at just lending as a line of business are clearly going to be more impacted than people who can add more value and add more services to clients. So we in Citi have recognized the fact that we need to bring our organization much closer. We have the benefit of both a large consumer presence, a large wealth presence, a large institutional presence, both on the capital market side and the transaction business side. And I think historically they are specialized businesses that have not really had a huge amount of bringing things together. I think over the last few years we've in a transformational journey. A couple of examples may illustrate what the kind of opportunities that you have when you bring the power of the city together. As you know, we are faced in an age where urbanization is a big trend. Over 50% of world's population now living in urban centers, and that's expected to accelerate in the next few years. So really you're going to be having mega cities. So having a nationwide distribution network is not necessarily the most important thing. Having an ability to reach masses of people, whether you're a bank or a company or other financial institution or even a corporate client selling to people, right? So governments which need to interact with people. So the two big themes are happening. So really cities are going to be the environment of the future. The question is, how can we become more relevant to people in the cities and the government organizations and the companies that deal with people in the city. So we're bringing the power of Citi under the City for Cities theme, bringing together solutions for consumers, for institutions, for corporates, and for government organizations to really connect these people together in an ecosystem and environment that we continue to see evolving as urbanization trend continues.
That's kind of a cash management story, I guess, but it's also bringing together your banking business and your government business.
Absolutely. It is across multiple sets of business lines. Cash management, it could have elements of trade in it. It could have certainly, receivables and payments. We have our cards picture in that. Governments are actually trying to reach out to people. I think it's efficiency play as well. And I think if you think about what is going on in this world, clearly with all the sovereign concerns you have, the debt levels you have, efficiency is a big theme, whether it's in the OECD markets or certainly in the Asian markets. And so what we see is that governments, certainly a number of different agencies within the government organization are looking at efficiency, looking at new ways of doing business. So we see there are opportunities for financial institutions like ourselves to bring the power of the entire set of businesses, whether it's the consumer business, whether it's the government business, whether it's the corporate business, because the ecosystem has all these participants in it.
So are you satisfied, I guess, that the City for Cities is a good way for all your, I guess, former silos to speak to each other?
I think so. It brings the silos together. I think there's a sense of purpose, a sense of vision. It's just one of the examples in which we actually are bringing things together. I mean, there are multiple other examples. We do support, for example, a capital markets business is a very, very big business for us. But I think there are elements of the capital market business that we were not capturing, which have a link into the transaction business. So the agency and trust business, when you underwrite a bond, there are cash management opportunities that come through it. Even in the private banking, we may be a wealth manager, but we don't really necessarily provide the full service that cash management transaction banking have in there. So I think there are elements of our different businesses that have capabilities that can be potentially brought to bear in these client conversations. So it's not we have to be aware ourselves of these capabilities, and we've got to present them in the best possible way to the clients. I think the clients will have to make the decision whether they want to purchase it together or they want to purchase it separately. But I think we have the capabilities, we've made the transformation, or certainly they're making the transformation, and City for Cities, for example, is a nice way of encapsulating and capturing, because I think it's a strategic vision, I think it's an excitement you can see, and we're actually seeing a lot of traction in both client conversations and actual business opportunities that we've been able to address.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Sridhar, for speaking to us today.
Thank you, Peter, for having me.
Great.